Thank you. Do I have confetti in my hair? Go back in your minds to the time in your life when you were children. Do you remember how effortless it was to just be kids? Why is it that it takes more effort to just be as an adult? My early childhood memories begin here. St. Henry's Catholic School. That parking lot is the playground where I played every day during recess. And it brings back great memories of me and my schoolmates just being kids. We knew who we were. And more importantly, we knew our mission. And that was to have as much fun as often as we possibly could. Looking back on it now, I realized something. Kids are naturally inclusive. No walls, no boundaries, no pretenses. When do children begin to lose their natural ability for inclusive behaviors? Well, in my work with youth and families, here's what I've learned. For the most part, children in their early stages of development generally very rarely have any confusion about who they are. However, when a child's self-image becomes challenged, his subconscious sense of self comes into conscious awareness. And for the first time, he begins to question his natural sense of identity. This is what happened to me. Let me tell you about it. So one day after recess, we're back in the classroom, and I'm sitting behind my classmate, and she turns around and asks me this question, totally out of the blue. Why are your hands white? She asks. Now I'm just 7 years old. I never really looked at my hands in any intentional or meaningful way. Neither was I aware of my physical appearance or how that might even be perceived by others. And as I'm trying to grasp my brain around her question, she's continuing. And she goes on to say, my hands are white on both sides. Why aren't yours brown all the way around? Now, at that point, it took all of the intellectual stamina that I had to try to form what I thought would be a very intelligent reply, which was the best that I had for a second grader with absolutely zero self-awareness. Now, as random and as minor as that incident may sound or seem, it had significant impact. I thought that something was wrong with me. I thought that her hands were the standard. And subconsciously, I began to judge myself according to those standards in other areas of my life. Later on in my professional area of study and expertise, I learned that that experience is known as negrescence. Negrescence is a theory formed by psychologist James Cross. It's a 5-stage model used to describe the experiences associated with becoming a psychologically healthy black man or woman in the United States. The story that I'm sharing with you is known as the encounter stage, where an individual is challenged with a profound experience or set of experiences directly related to race that cause him or her to re-examine their self-identity. In the pre-encounter stage, individuals do not believe that race is an important aspect of identity. When I learned this, it really caught my attention, so much so that I want to say that again. In the pre-encounter stage, individuals do not believe that race is an important aspect of identity. This stage causes me to question the use of race in the first place. What psychologically healthy purpose do these racial identities, black and white, serve? Are the psychological needs for those with darker skin any different from those with lighter skin? Is it psychologically sane to socially practice racial identities of division, black and white, and then turn around and expect social behaviors of inclusion? Now, for those of you who are educated in the social construct of race, you most likely already know the answers to these questions. However, in reality, our country is woefully uninformed, and worse, misinformed about race ideology. This is the foundational basis and primary motivation for my life's work: to address the connection between our mental health and race, especially as it pertains to our children, our future. Let me tell you why. Children who feel capable and worthy are more likely to be optimistic and perform well academically. A healthy sense of identity in children helps them to be more open to people from different backgrounds, less likely to fear differences in others, and less likely to put other children down in order to bring themselves up. Look at the world that we adults today are presenting our children. From the knee of Colin Kaepernick on the football field, to the knee of Derek Chauvin on the neck of George Floyd. From the spawning of Black Lives Matter to the continuing rise of white nationalist organizations. From the COVID-19 fueled prejudice toward the Asian community to a resurgence of anti-Semitism, and from the critical race theory driven school board protests to the banning of books across the country. Let me ask you something. Have these current events been a psychologically healthy experience for you? Are you aware of the impact that they're having on our children? You know, as it pertains to inclusion, race isn't the only problem. It's a significant part of the problem, but not the only part. My experience with the encounter stage was with racial identity. However, isn't it conceivable that anyone can have an experience of encounter with any of these other identities? Family, sexual, political, and a host of others. What was your experience with encounter? When did you feel left out of the mainstream for something different or unique about you? And let's look at it from the other side. Is it possible that you may have contributed to someone else's encounter experience? So, as it pertains to creating a healthy climate of inclusion, here's my premise. Inclusion begins with identity. Now, if you accept that premise, the next logical question would be, which identities most effectively align with the value of inclusion? And to that, I have 3 criteria. 1, it's organic. 2, it's timeless. And 3, it is not based in ideology. So with that, I would like to present to you the identities that I feel best align with this criteria, beginning with the identity of family, parents, siblings, mother, father, son, daughter, sister, brother. The identity of American. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. Now that may sound based in ideology, but look deeper. Isn't the value of equality and fair treatment an organic desire in almost everyone you know, including all of you here in this room? And the last identity, human being. We are 99.9% genetically identical across the globe. Think about that. We are a human species, not a race. You know, as it pertains to ideologies, they come and go. We've seen politicians move from conservative, liberal, independent, and all the way back again. We've seen well-known personalities change their racial identity from black to white, even creating new categories like Cablinasian. And remember, race is an ideology. The problem is not about skin color. The problem is how we're thinking about skin color. And we've seen people change their religious persuasions as well as their nationalities. However, those identities which matter most hardly ever change. Imagine what inclusion would look like in this country if we were to narrow our focus and base all of our social policies and practices on those identities which matter most. This is something that I know we can do. We have the resources at our disposal to get it done. So as I prepare to leave you, I'd like to present you with this activity. I call it the yes test, because I love yes. And it's comprised of 3 yes questions. Now, the strength of the test depends on the level of belief you have in your answers. Are you ready to try it? Yes. Come on, are you ready to try it? Yes. All right, very good. That was practice. Okay, first question. Aren't we all someone's parents, siblings, mother, father, son, daughter, sister, brother? Yes. Now, if there's someone in this room who's not in any of those categories, please stand up and tell us how you got here. Okay, good. Next question. Aren't we all created equal? Yes. Do you believe it? Yes. Good. Last yes question. Aren't we all human beings? Yes. Now again, if there's someone in this room who's not human, okay. All right. We, in this room and across the globe, are 99.9% genetically identical. Do you know what that means? We're genetically linked. Do you feel the energy in this room? Are you alive? Yes. Do you feel the energy in this room? Yes. That is our wireless genetic link resonating within us. And that's important because it's reciprocal. And here's what that means. It means that whatever happens to you happens to me. That whatever I do to you, I also do to me. And likewise with inclusion, when I make the choice to include you, you all are also making the choice to include me. Go back in your minds to the time in your lives when you were children. Do you remember how effortless it was to just be kids? Thank you.